Sorry for that. Sorry for that. I clicked the wrong button on the phone.
It's okay, don't worry.
How are you, Divya?
I'm all
Faith
right. How are you?
Magut, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. Smoky Mirror. I don't know what the Smoky Mirror is. Anyway. So we'll start because we're already late. Hi, Faith. Nene, just a revision of yesterday so that we can get in the mood. Yesterday we looked at the structure of a bacterial cell. We saw it has just one plasma membrane, that there is no other membrane surrounding a specific organelle, or like, for example, the nucleus, or rather the nucleoid, that's the right term. The nucleoid is just out there. We saw the mitochondria, the ribosomes, they're just out there in the open. We also saw gram-positive and gram-negative organisms. So the difference between them is primarily the peptidoglycan layer. We saw one has the likes of that one has a polysaccharide, right? Then we also looked at gram staining, which is the most common procedure done for microbiology exams. The primary stain, we saw it's crystal violet. The counter stain was red saffron or saffron, right? Then we looked at how bacteria can transfer genetic material between themselves. We saw conjugation, we saw the transduction and transformation. In conjugation, we saw a sex pill has been used. In transduction, there was a phage. In transformation, it was just the naked DNA finding its way onto this other bacterial cell. Finally, or no, not finally, we also looked at now Staphylococci, Streptococci, and Enterococci. For Staphylococci, which was the first one, how do you differentiate staph and strep? We saw staph is catalase positive, but strep is catalase negative. Then within staph, we saw that there is coagulase positive and coagulase negative. And the only coagulase positive is the notorious Staphylococcus aureus. The other ones were the other ones were coagulase negative. Went to streptococci. We saw now with streptococci, we brought the aspect of hemolysis or the hemolytic property. We say alpha hemolysis, that it means partially, like there's partial hemolysis of RBCs. Beta hemolysis, there's complete hemolysis. Gamma hemolysis, there's no hemolysis at all. And we saw that group A and group B, they are beta hemolytic, but we saw strep pneumonia is alpha hemolytic. Yeah. So there's an enterococci. We saw enterococci not so infectious, like it talking about the endocarditis, infective endocarditis. So today we will be starting with Neisseria gonorrhea, or rather just the Neisseria family, not even Neisseria gonorrhea precisely, but the Neisseria family. Let me project my screen. Yeah, I hope at least you managed to go through something in the topics I shared, so that as Shrina said yesterday, like this discussion should be lively. It should be lively. It really helps when it's a lively discussion. Yeah. So Neisseria, number one. When we look at Neisseria, just from the diagram here, you can see Neisseria is gram negative we've already moved to gram-negative, right? It's a gram-negative cocci, meaning what it is? Spherical shaped, right? Spherical shaped. Neisseria, we know these are two major types of Neisseria, or two medically important types of Neisseria species. The first one is Neisseria gonorrhoeae, which causes gonorrhea, and the other one is Neisseria meningitidis, which causes meningitis. This from the word itself. So another word, we will see this word being used with Neisseria, or rather with this term gonococci, because they're spherical shape, or meningococci. So when you hear meningococci, that tells you it's Neisseria meningitis. So as we said, to us humans, that is the gonorrhea and the meningitis. Then characteristics, at least we said because we are not going so deep, use the content you have at the very least, right? Organisms, and now they are spherical shaped. Yeah. And in all the bacteria we've seen so far, we haven't, when we're talking about the Enterobacteriaceae family, so far we haven't seen any of them having a flagella. Remember we said yesterday, when we mention flagella, we are thinking of movement, right? So yeah, the other characteristic you can only say is non-motile. Then we will see how they can be differentiated by how they use sugar and all of these things. They're also characterized by the production of purulent material, largely of white blood cells. We'll see all these things. We'll see why is it that you complain of a discharge from the urethral discharge? Why is it that even when the mother is delivering and she has gonorrhea, the child will also get that, because this bacteria is characteristic for the production of a purulent like material. So yeah, we'll see all this. So starting with Neisseria gonorrhea. Gonorrhea, I think from the name itself, you can say causative agent of gonorrhea, right? Second thing you can say, it is so diplo means two, right? It's a diplococci. But so this is the second diplococci we are seeing only, but it was a gram-positive diplococci. But these are now Neisseria gonorrhea. It's a gram-negative diplococci. Once you visualize it in the laboratory, once you've done your grams, and you see it will appear in 2-2. Always 2-2. Cocci gram-negative. It has the pillars, it's non-motile. We will definitely look at the pillars when we are talking about gonorrhea, because it's a major, you can see it entails part of its virulent factors. We know it's transmitted through an infected birth canal. That's why the infants, the neonates, do get that infection in their eye. So looking at their structure, something unique is that or something that really conflicts. Remember we mentioned pili yesterday. Pili number one, the conjugation, the sex pillars conjugation, right? The transfer of genetic material. So this Neisseria gonorrhoeae pili, it does use this pili to attach to the or rather, once there's intercourse and there's spread from one partner to the other partner, the gonorrhea uses this. The effective gonorrhea is pili it contains it. It enhances the attachment of the organism to your whole, to your cells, to your epithelium, right? Yeah, and then they also have this lipo gram negative generally have lipopolysaccharide, the LPS, whereas gram positive lipoteichoic acid and teichoic acid. Gonorrhea specifically, it's more of a lipo-oligosaccharide. Remember, we didn't discuss this so much in biochem, but lipopolysaccharide and an oligosaccharide. An oligosaccharide contains less sugar molecules. And so it's that is why we call this one a lipooligosaccharide, because it does found in the normal bacteria. For the pathogenesis, again, we see out there, and we can't look at each and every one of them. But remember, a very key thing about gonorrhea is those pili. That it's let's just look at it 1 second. You know, pili, you see, they are facilitated adhesion of the gonococci to the epithelium. All of this. Pillars also, they enable the bacterium to resist phagocytosis. So simply, not only pileated gonococci are virulent. So if you can find a way of removing the pillars from the pili from gonococci, then gonorrhea, they say, then you won't have any infective capability. And that's what we're saying. Looking at disease it causes, number one, we already mentioned. The STD ladies will see development of pelvic inflammatory disease. Pelvic inflammatory disease. And remember simply to remind you of the anatomy of the female reproductive tract. This acute gonorrhea will have more, the gonorrhea is more located somewhere in your cervix, right? But once we are talking about pelvic inflammatory disease, it means the gonorrhea has gone further, or rather deeper into your reproductive tract. And we will see even you can have your fallopian tubes being inflamed, what we call salpingitis. And once you have your fallopian tubes being inflamed, the fallopian tube is a site of fertilization. So this STI, these STDs, you really know, you really need to know chlamydia. They are notorious for causing pelvic inflammatory disease. Yeah. Then the other neat thing that the patient may complain about is a greenish yellow cervical discharge, right? A greenish yellow cervical discharge. But you'll see them that they're also associated with a recent sexual encounter, right? For males, it's easy, for males, discharge, right? So when anything comes out of the urethra, then to a male that tells them they are sick. But in females, we know that females normally have the normal discharge. So they'll complain that the discharge has changed, right? The other infection is with just the same sites you expect. rectal infections. Now here we come when we're talking with males, and also the thing of anal intercourse, such things. In short, it's the same thing, the same route of transmission. Pharyngitis, when we're talking oral genital contact. In short, know that when someone is infected, the home of gonorrhea is in the genital. So any part of if someone an exposed area of the body touches the genitals of an exposed person, will definitely expect an infection. Same with a child. This disease called ophthalmia neonatorum. When a child is being born and there's that gonorrhea there in the as a child is being born in the birth canal, there'll be an infection, and the eye will see a lot of discharge coming. Yeah, it is a good example. Yeah, see a lot of discharge coming out of there, and we risk blindness. So the mother, this is why we insist on prenatal care. You know, we need to know these things. We need to check you for these diseases. Okay. The other thing, remember we said with any disease, if it gets into your bloodstream, that you can throw is in there. If somehow it has found your way into your bloodstream. With this one, there's also something called septic arthritis that we've seen there. So how will you identify it? We said number one is gram negative. It appears in right? And we said lab exam, you pay lab exams with a clinic presentation. But then a patient came, you associate the yeah, sorry, I got disconnected. So as I was saying, you just associate the clinical symptoms with the positive causative agent. Then looking at just something here, plasma really common in Neisseria gonorrhea, and that's why you always seen in the news they're making rounds around Nairobi and all this, because gonorrhea has these plasmids in good amounts. It only takes one. End of it, we are complaining that. So looking at now, the next one is Neisseria meningitis. Just for the from the name alone, you can say that this is a causative agent of the triad. That triad is to say the triad, that rigid neck, right? Triad of meningitis, right? Okay, those three symptoms. So it's the same. Neisseria meningitis, we've seen the structure, but what we will again appreciate is that it does cause meningitis, and something that is unique with this meningitis caused by Neisseria meningitis is that there'll be an appearance of a rash. This rash, the petechial rash, right? Like in short, it's like places of pinpoint bleeding. This child, these parts of blood on their skin. That, and we have symptoms of meningitis. The causative agent is likely to be Neisseria meningitis. In the other causative agents of meningitis, the likes of strep pneumonia, the likes of Haemophilus influenza, we don't see a rash. We don't see this petechial rash. So that is something that this Neisseria meningitis from the other types of from the other causes of meningitis. Okay, let's yeah, that's the summary of Shrina Divya Comfort. Just Mila, welcome. Before we break, we'll just do at least a few. We can take a quick break. So for this area, take home message number one, cocci. Number three, non-motile. And then we've seen the two types, the gonorrhea and the meningitis. Gonorrhea causes gonorrhea, meningitis. In diplococci, they are gram-negative diplococci. The gram-positive diplococci was strep pneumoniae, or the pili, playing a really huge role when it comes to the infective, the virus, acting as a virulence factor for this organism. It will no longer have the capability to cause disease, right? So that was the take-home message. Let's see this summer aerobic, everything. Let's see the urethral discharge. I know the pictures are disturbing, but especially for the guys, they'll tell you in the morning when they wake up, there's this milkish stuff. Either Neisseria or chlamydia. The good thing is that treatment is offered for both. Now, moving on to the Enterobacteriaceae, which is the major class, is something like testing the gram-negative enteric rods, right? The cocci, remember we've seen the cocci. In absentia, maybe we can just which is also a cocci shape. Moraxella with zero, especially when you're talking about the likes of quina penicillin, the one that produced the beta lactamase. Moraxella catarrhalis, right? it's implicated in sorry guys, bad internet, bad reception, bad reception. Now moving on to the GI rods, gram-negative rods. Divya, am I breaking? Because now I don't know what to do. Keeps telling me my internet is unstable.
Yeah, it's kinda unstable. I think it's also my internet because it keeps breaking. So I'm not the best person to ask. Maybe ask someone else in the class.
Sorry, I think it's just your internet because you've been breaking the whole time.
Okay. Let me restart it. Let me restart it. Okay. If I break again, just let me know so that I can restart. Hope it will be fine. Assuming you can all see my screen. Okay. So when we're talking about gram-negative rods, when we're talking about gram-negative rods, these are number one. These organisms. They are usually just found in our GI tract. They are found in our let me not say stomach, more of GI tract, more of the intestine. Right, but we'll also see them being found. I think I'm still breaking. Someone tell me, because it's still telling me I'm unstable.
But I can hear you better now. You're okay.
Okay. Hi. So, okay, we'll look at each of them individually, but the notorious ones, number one is the E. coli, H. pylori. H. pylori, we're all familiar with the H. pylori. There's this Campylobacter, Jeju, and then we'll in the next chapter, I think we'll also see this chapter. Oh, it is. Yeah, kina Salmonella typhi and paratyphi. Yeah. So these organisms, number one, they're usually found in the GI tract, right? Yesterday, I think we saw in the normal flora, we saw things like E. coli. They are found there. H. pylori. We say H. pylori, we acquire it early in life. It's just that in some people, it does cause the peptic ulcer disease, but in some, we just live with the H. pylori without it causing issues. So let's just dive into it. Let's just start with E. coli. So E. coli, negative, of course, flora of the colon, right? Constitutes part of the normal flora of our colons. So that means it can be what? When it's in our colon, number one, it's a normal flora, but it can go ahead and cause a disease in our GI tract. And even when it enters into the bloodstream, of course, it will be able to cause a disease. Then E. coli, it also adherence to our tissues, right? And now here is where we'll now see organisms that we'll start saying organisms, they have the flagella that we'll see some E. coli do have a flagella, so they are motile, but some do not have a flagella, so they are not motile. But first, E. coli is so broad. There are different species of E. coli. Some cause I think hemolytic uremic syndrome, we'll see that, hemorrhagic colitis, and then some will simply be implicated in food poisoning. So E. coli is really a broad not a family, because of E. coli, there are specific strains. There are a number of strains within E. coli. But they are facultative anaerobes. We said facultative, it can exist with or without oxygen, right? They ferment glucose, they can generate energy by reducing nitrates to nitrites. Why is this important? Because when we start looking at UTIs and we'll see this nitrate test, we'll appreciate this. We know E. coli is also notorious for causing UTIs. So how do we identify the strains, or how do we name them? It's based on the antigens, this OH and K. We won't go so deep, but just know it's based on those antigens. That's why you're seeing there's O157, H7, right? There's such designation. Looking at its significance, there are like 5 types of E. coli. We classify them based on now this. When we come to the intestinal infection, the enterotoxigenic, enteropathogenic, enterohemorrhagic, enteroevasive, and enteroaggregative, which is simply it's the same E. coli, but based on how they will attack you, based on how they'll attack us humans, we will classify them based on that. And to summarize this, we'll just look at this table here, that the enterotoxigenic, this one, it just causes a watery diarrhea. It produces a toxin that will cause us to have a watery diarrhea. For the enteropathogenic, it also does cause a watery diarrhea, but of a longer duration. Enterohemorrhagic, I think the moment you see hemorrhagic, we know that blood will be involved. So it will be a bloody diarrhea, and we'll also see hemolytic uremic syndrome. Enteroinvasive, enteroinvasive is also one of the dangerous ones. It invades your intestines, and also because it has invaded, it will just imagine a bacteria drilling into your intestines, there'll be some blood. Then enteroadherent, this one, mostly we'll see it either in children and in HIV patients. For the enteroadherent E. coli, still watery diarrhea, but we'll see it in even patients infected with HIV. So for the bloody diarrhea, it's only two pathogenic types that cause, that is enterohemorrhagic, that's the obvious one, and the enteroinvasive. Those ones cause a bloody diarrhea. Then something unique about enterohemorrhagic E. coli is that we should avoid using antibiotics. Why? Because somehow antibiotics induce the expression of the toxin that this E. coli produces. And so antibiotics can worsen the disease. They risk worsening this hemolytic uremic syndrome. Okay, hemolytic uremic syndrome, we'll see it next week when we are looking at pathology. But essentially, just from the word, you're seeing hemolytic. So it means your red blood cells are being broken down so fast. Uremia, your urea levels are building up. And so essentially, what happens with these kids is that mostly hemolytic uremic syndrome, you will see it affecting kids. Mostly what happens is we had such a case, and what the mother came complaining about was that, number one, of course, with children, when they are sick, appetite goes down and all of that. That is common to everything. But the mother said that when this child goes to the bathroom, goes to the washroom, the urine is coming out red as blood. So that's really the unique thing. You hear it's a child, and the urine is coming out red, like it's like the child is urinating blood. This hemolytic uremic syndrome should be part of your differential diagnosis. And then once the child was tested, the kidney function, it was appearing as if the child is in stage 5 CKD. And now hemolytic uremic syndrome was diagnosed. So just know the 5 types. Know this and EHEC, that is enterohemorrhagic and enteroinvasive, they do cause bloody diarrhea. The others, toxigenic, pathogenic, and adherent, it will be just watery diarrhea. Pathogenic, we'll see it having a longer diarrhea period, but adherent, we'll see it mostly affecting patients with HIV and AIDS. The source of infection is just through food and water. It's through contamination, what you eat. From what you eat, this is how you will be getting the E. coli. We've also mentioned that it does cause UTI, meningitis. It's also implicated in meningitis. It's implicated in neonatal meningitis. That was group B streptococci, the strep agalactiae. Just a reminder. Nosocomial infection, again, nosocomial infection is something you can always throw in there. Is something we said group B streptococci. For intestinal disease, we know for diarrhea, even for food poisoning, antibiotics typically they are not recommended. It's just rehydration, right? Just rehydration. And we've seen, especially specifically for hemolytic uremic syndrome, antibiotics can worsen that disease. But if it's a UTI will see it being given the fluoroquinolones, the nitrofurantoin we're talking about, cotrimoxazole, there, yeah, all of these drugs. So for E. coli, now let's look at take-home message for E. coli. Number one, they're facultative anaerobes. The other thing, can remember catalase positive, like our friend Staphylococcus, right? Catalase positive, it ferments glucose. Then when it comes to the diseases, or rather now when it comes to the classification, we mentioned the 5 types. There's the pathogenic, there's invasive, there's the hemorrhagic, there's the adherent, and there's the toxigenic. Yeah, so hemorrhagic and invasive do cause a bloody diarrhea. The other ones more of just a watery diarrhea. Then we'll do salmonella, then take a break. Salmonella, transmission of E. coli, we've seen it's from what you eat, fecal oral, what you eat. So from, yeah. For salmonella, we know salmonella typhi, salmonella paratyphi, okay. But so salmonella, essentially, again, when it comes to this GI rods, we'll see that mostly transmission is the same thing. What you eat. So for salmonella, again, gram-negative, it's a rod. These things will keep repeating themselves. This one will be notorious for causing this gastroenteritis, inflammation of the GI. And then typhoid. I think salmonella typhi causes typhoid. Yeah. Regarding something unique about salmonella is that we can get it from interaction with poultry and eggs. Like that's a source. So that's a source of transmission. If you're told in the history, oh, this person works closely with chicken, with all this poultry, and this person eats a lot of eggs, yeah, you'll be thinking in the lines of salmonella, but also fecal oral transmission can occur. Typhoid, typhoid, we know typhoid Mary from the legend, that someone can carry typhoid chronica. So remember, typhoid Mary was a cook, and because she didn't really focus on hand hygiene, she walked around Europe giving people typhoid. So again, let that remind you, it can fecal oral transmission, and someone can be chronically infected with typhoid. We've already said majorly gastroenteritis and typhoid fever. The other side is that it can also cause this hepatobiliary infections, septic arthritis, all of these things. Take home message that again, catalase positive. See, we are starting to see a trend. Catalase positive, they ferment glucose, they are facultative anaerobes, gram negative, and they are rods. So yeah. So yeah, we can take a break. Right now it's 8:11, maybe until 8:20. Then we come back to Campylobacter and Vibrio, we do cholera and H. pylori. Yeah. If there's any addition, now is the time. Divya, Divya, you are dread all of these things. Even you can bring your additions. So yeah, we're back. We're back. We're back. So we've seen in the gram-negative rods, we've seen two things: E. coli, salmonella, right? We've seen gram-negative rods ferment glucose, catalase positive, right? Yeah, we've seen all and facultative anaerobes. We're coming up with these characteristics just as we go. We don't have to memorize all of them. It's easier to catch them as a family. You can work your way up or down that way. So coming to Campylobacter jejuni. So for Campylobacter, unlike the others where we've said there are definite gram-negative rod, they're rod shaped, right? Campylobacter, it's more of a spiral shaped, right? It's more of a spiral shape, more of an S shape. Like it's about to resemble Vibrio cholerae, the Vibrio. Remember, Vibrio, we say it's comma shaped. This one we're seeing it's more of curved than S shaped. Okay, so that's Campylobacter jejuni. S shaped or spiral shaped, right? They have a flagella. So when you hear something as a flagella, of course, you say, "Hiya, this thing is motile, motility is there." And then another thing that makes them unique from the E. coli and the salmonella that we've learned is that this one, they are microaerophilic. That means they require oxygen, but just at lower concentration than that found in air. In short, you can think of them as microaerobes. They need oxygen, but just a little bit oxygen, not as much as organisms, right? Remember, for salmonella and E. coli, we've seen their facultative anaerobes. They can do with or without oxygen. They ferment glucose. They're facultative anaerobes. But here, Campylobacter, already we are seeing changes. We've moved from we had said the rods. Now this one we're seeing is more S-shaped. The other ones, they are facultative anaerobe. This one we're seeing it's microaerophilic, right? Yeah. And again, this one we won't see it fermenting glucose. We won't see it fermenting carbs, unlike its brothers. Then we'll just see it affecting the intestines. And they cause that here, food poisoning. In food poisoning, sometimes poisoning sounds like a big term, right? And it's as if you're poison, but it's just you've seen some bacteria in it, so you reacted to it. And so mostly it's implicated in food poisoning, and be, of course, diarrhea, some nausea, some vomiting, yeah, and eating. That's why we mostly food poisoning, we won't see we won't see us advocating antibiotics for food poisoning, just oral rehydration therapy. Yeah. Then the symptoms may be both systemic. We may have fever, diarrhea, which may be bloody or not bloody. That one, it depends. Yeah. So with Campylobacter, there is nothing much. It's more of differentiating Campylobacter from Salmonella and Aerophilic as compared to its brothers. We're seeing diarrhea, just fluid replacement therapy is what we prefer. But but of course, with those of we can recommend antibiotics. Cipro is the most common drug, even when it's not needed. Yeah, people are just given this ciprofloxacin because you see it fluoroquinolones, they'll have action against fluoroquinolones, act on them. Yeah. So how do you prevent with with all of this, anything that is acquired through, right? Or as Campylobacter, milk is a source of infection. Remember, for salmonella, we say poultry, the likes of eggs. Milk, also eggs, more of just foods, and S-shaped and micro aerophilic. Uh, uh, Moving to Shigella, with Shigella, Salmonella Shigella. So Shigella is number one. The disease it causes dysentery. That's the name of the disease it causes. So Shigella bacillary dysentery. Then Entamoeba histolytica, the causative agent of bacillary dysentery. Bacillary dysentery. Again, symptoms will again affecting the GIT gram-negative organisms. So all of this is contaminated food and water for hygiene. Yeah. From the name you expect, and there'll be plus some abdominal cramping. So with Shigella, this is not food poisoning. Shigella is a disease, bacillary dysentery. That's a disease that in which treatment is indicated. So ciprofloxacin, right? And also azithromycin, if you can give cipro, for example, if the patient is pregnant, well, azithromycin are a bit more safe. Prevention always has to do with what you're eating. Just watch what you eat. Make sure your water is safe, your food is safe, you're cooking your stuff well, all of those stuff. Vibrio cholerae. Cholera is more of an outbreak of disease, right? Transmission, we don't have to mention it. Transmission is just usually in Kenya, infected water. So see, in terms of structure, sometimes cholera is said to be comma-shaped. Comma-shaped. Yeah, I don't know if we have an image. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's said to be comma-shaped or short curved S-shaped, right? It's a rod. It's again, Vibro is a facultative anaerobic. Remember, it's only Campylobacter is what? Micro aerophilic. Campylobacter is it? It's micro aerophilic. When we come back to Vibrio, cholera, because this virulence factor is asked, we'll just look at the pathogenesis of cholera. So cholera has two medicine with two subunits, right? So once you've ingested your cholera, you've drank some contaminated water containing this cholera. There's an outbreak. You've gone and drank this water. It will be released by the Vibrio cholerae, and it contains two subunits. Yeah, we have an so the A subunit. What the here essentially the B subunit is what will facilitate. So once the A subunit enters the cell, it activates the G protein pathway, the activate GS will be releasing a lot of ions, will be producing ions to the outside, right? Adenylyl cyclase, CMP accumulates. Once we are accumulating CMP inside our cells, we'll be releasing ions. Then when we release ions, we are seeing we release sodium. Wherever sodium goes, the general rule, water will follow. Sodium and water, friendship as old as this are the goals. Yeah, that's characteristic for cholera. So essentially know that the cholera toxin binds to this receptor, GM ganglioside receptor, and activates the GS. If we activate MP, then star will secrete the ions, and then water follows. Yeah, leading to that water diarrhea. We know treatment, again, rehydration therapy, but if it's severe, we'll see here antibiotics can be indicated, but the antibiotic of choice is doxycycline. But what's important is that replacement of fluids. Yersinia, we would look at Yersinia. Just know of Yersinia pestis, it causes nothing much. Let's go to H. pylori, then we can close the chapter. H. pylori, number one, we said it can be got from contaminated sources of food and water. H. pylori is the major thing it causes is there peptic ulcer disease. And because of how common H. pylori is, again, so once you've ingested or once this H. pylori is in your stomach, and this even penetration of the new, we know your stomach produces acid, right? But that acid, so that it cannot burn, damage our cells, our stomach cells, they do produce what? Mucus to shield them from acid. So H. pylori is intelligent, and H. pylori produces an enzyme which is very important, this urease enzyme. This urease, in short, it will break down urea to ammonia, right? We know urea is basic. Neutralize that harsh acidic pH of the stomach, and that's how H. pylori is able to survive in our stomach despite us producing acid, because number one, it neutralizes our first line in the stomach, which is the acid, and it also goes inside there. Just know that urease it's really significant because they are diagnostic tests that are done for H. pylori based on the fact that they contain this urease. Yeah. Gastric ulcer disease, remember, that can be duodenal ulcers, gastric ulcers. We know if ulcers is left untreated, it can lead to gastric cancer, gastric carcinoma, even these mucosal-associated lymphoid tumors. Yeah. How do we, this is a urea breath test, but in Kenya, mostly we just use the stool test. In Kenya, we we identify H. pylori using this tool. Regarding its treatment, we'll look at it further when we're doing clean farm, but triple therapy, when you're treating H. pylori, you want to give at least the 2 antibiotics plus a proton pump inhibitor. 2 antibiotics plus a proton pump inhibitor. Yeah. Okay, that's it about the nini. See, you can see this cartoon here. See, these are chicken, and they are talking about salmonella, because poultry and salmonella, they are related. Hey, Patrick.
Duration of therapy ni 7 ama 10 ama 14.
14 days ndio it has been shown to have higher eradication rate than preferred. Seven days ni patient anashinda karudi. Okay. If no questions, briefly look at hemophilus, influenza, TB, then and consider that done. So hemophilus influenza. Just hemophilus, or when we're looking at hemophilus, majorly we are interested in hemophilus influenza. Why hemophilus influenza? These are the disease it causes. It causes pneumonia. So, and we know pneumonia, how common it is in children. It causes meningitis. We know the significance of meningitis. It causes otitis media, sinusitis. It also causes this, but the major one is here in pneumonia, otitis, meningitis, sinusitis, meningitis. So wherever hemophilus influenza is, you are likely also to find strep pneumonia, except something that is unique with the influenza is this epiglottitis. The epiglottitis, we'll see, it's mostly been eradicated. So we are still at gram negative. Now, in this case, we're looking at for the enteric, we've looked at E. coli, right? We looked at salmonella, we looked at Shigella, we looked at Campylobacter, H. pylori. Now here we're looking at Haemophilus, Legionella, we'll just mention, then Pseudomonas, especially because of resistance and all this stuff. Then we finish with TB. So Haemophilus influenza. Typically it's a rod. Typically it's a rod, but pleomorphic. The term pleomorphic. What does it mean? Pleomorphic. Even you can be able to think pleo meaning multiple or plural. Morphic, we know morphic, that this genus is we can see a pleomorphic property ranging from cocobacilli to long slender filaments. Coco meaning spherical shells, but generally they are gram negative. rods general. Can just say they are gram-negative rods. In Haemophilus influenza, the capsule forms a very important virulence factor. Remember, in Neisseria gonorrhea, we said that the pilus, the one that forms the essential virulence factor. In Vibrio cholerae, we saw that cholera toxin. Here in Haemophilus influenza, we are seeing it's that capsule. Then in terms of the diseases it causes, we've seen the respiratory diseases like pneumonia, otitis media, meningitis. It's able to gain access to the CNS. Mission, because anything that is in there, we are saying it causes diseases like pneumonia, sinusitis. Of course, transmission will be through this respiratory droplets, coughing, sneezing, such things. For the organs, we said meningitis and pneumonia, but for the epiglottitis, the particular strain that used to cause this particular one. So with epiglottitis, you're not expecting to see kids having epiglottitis in anytime now, but pillars mostly will have the cephalosporins, right? The ceftriaxone or cefotaxime. Yeah. Gram-negative, pleomorphic, meaning the shape can range from the coco to the bacilli. They are obligate parasites. They require a heavy and a D plus for growth, blood pollen, that hemin, yeah. And that is it. Nothing much about Haemophilus influenza. Just know that it does cause pneumonia, meningitis, such things. Looking at Legionella pneumophila. Legionella pneumophila. Yeah, it is Legionella. Something unique about Legionella, or this Legionella family, that we'll also see with the Chlamydia family, is that these are one of the few bacteria that are intracellular parasites. They want to go inside the cell. Remember, for microbes, the viruses is the ones we say they want to go inside the cell. But for Legionella and even for parasites, what infection does it cause? Just respiratory tract infection. See, even the name Legionella pneumophila, that was just pneumonia. Just pneumonia. And how is it most infection? Because if it causes a respiratory disease, then you expect it to be infection through the aerosols, the respiratory droplets again. But sometimes when you're swimming in contaminated water, you can also get this Legionella pneumophila. Majorly is just that respiratory tract infective disease, but there are two unique presentations. This one is the Legionnaire's disease and Pontiac fever. this Legionnaires' disease and Pontiac fever. So if you ask what organism causes Pontiac fever, you have Legionella pneumophilia as your answer. So in Legionnaire's disease, yeah, essentially we are having more of just fever. This person will be feeling tired. Mostly children are the most affected. Tired, anorexia, headache, a cough, right? Compared with this Pontiac fever, this one, it infects healthy individuals. Remember, for Legionella, this Legionnaire's disease, it's a disease of immunocompromised individuals. And of course, in immunocompromised, we know kids are one of those people who say they are immunocompromised because their immunity is not that developed. So Legionnaire's disease will be seen it mostly in the immunocompromised, but in an healthy individual, we'll see that it just causes a flu-like illness. That is what? It's like a common cold. Just you won't need any particular therapy. Like for Legionnaire's disease, we'll see Legionnaire's disease, we need treatment. This person needs to be given. It's like a common cold. And what antibiotics? Macrolides. Azithromycin, usually it's the drug of choice for Legionnaire's disease. Fluoroquinolones are also effective, but for Pontiac fever, we said it's just usually treated symptomatically without antibiotics. In spectrums of diseases. In the immunocompromised individual, it will cause Legionnaire's disease, which is a severe type of pneumonia. But in a healthy individual, it will just cause this Pontiac fever. Okay. Finally, Pseudomonas. Finally. Pseudomonas is in the list because we know nosocomial infections. So it's one thing that can be tested. Nosocomial infection, we know also it's rate of resistance. That's why we're covering. It's majorly we want to look at the Pseudomonas aeruginosa. It's found in soil, water, plants, wherever. Nosocomial infections. It's one of the notorious for nosocomial infections. Also, Staph aureus, especially methicillin, is also one of the most common organisms implicated in nosocomial infection. Nosocomial is just hospital site infections. Wherever it gains access, it can cause an infection. So something unique about Pseudomonas aeruginosa is that it's obligate aerob. That means this one needs oxygen to survive, right? It needs oxygen to survive. Remove oxygen from it, and you've killed it, right? Either a do or die, right? It's either a do or die. Pathogenesis is just what you'd expect. Pili on the bacteria, which will be attachment, entry, and fights it. Look at the clinical significance. We've already the clinical significance up there, but just localized infections in an exposed area, hospital-acquired infections, things like pneumonia, right? You went to the hospital for one thing, and then you in surgery patients, Pseudomonas aeruginosa there. Even in neutropenic cancer patients, Pseudomonas aeruginosa is those things that if, there's no particular infection say there's no particular disease it causes that we can assign a name, but you know that it's notorious, it's an obligate IROB. It's an obligate IROB. Yeah, it's an obligate IROB. That's a unique thing. This is an obligate IROB. It's a gram-negative rod, of course. We're looking at gram-negative rod. We'll just move to TB and then just close it at that. We can start TB at 9:05. Yeah. We're back. So mycobacteria, majorly here we'll be looking at TB. Yeah, TB. TB is the main one here. The other ones they cause the plague and things that were eradicated. Not the plague, sorry, leprosy. The plague is Yersinia pestis, leprosy. So mycobacteria, number one, the first thing we need to say when we're talking about mycobacteria is that it does not fall under the classification of gram-positive, gram-negative organism. It does not fall under that classification. Call it the acid-fast bacteria. Acid-fast bacteria. Fast like F-A-S-T. Acid-fast bacteria. We looked at it yesterday. We saw the stain that is used is that Zell-Nielsen stain. And the reason it does not fall, their cell wall is so full of lipids that it will be impossible using the gram staining, acid-fast staining method. This acid-fast staining method. Okay. Then we know the most common one is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the causative agent of tuberculosis. The other ones, Mycobacterium leprae, causes leprosy. Yeah, Mycobacterium avium complex, it's more of HIV, yeah, all those stuff. Then what is found in the mycobacteria is this. They have a high concentration of this fatty acid. It's called mycolic acid. Hence the mycobacteria. They have all of this mycolic acid. Yeah, they have this mycolic acid. And this mycolic acid, it's important because once we are looking at the mechanism of action of anti-TBs of pyrazinamide, like so ethambutol, we'll see one way or the other they do affect. We all know how the cell wall is significant. Once you impair the cell wall, you have an access to the bacteria. So Mycobacterial tuberculosis, we know from even what we know about TB, coughing, weight loss, transmit those respiratory air, some of those droplets. So I will say in a matatu, in crowded rooms, you should always open the windows, such things. Yeah. And something unique about TB or about Mycobacteria in general is that they are very resistant to drying but not heat. And they are strictly aerobic. And we'll even see this when we're looking at the pathophysiology of TB. TB likes going into the areas of the lungs that are well supplied with oxygen. They grow slowly, right? Mycobacteria usually grow so slowly, and as compared to these other typical bacterial organisms that multiply within a very short time. We see that it's estimated that 1/3 of the population is infected with TB. With 30, say the word infected. Infected will just mean that you've been exposed to it, right? But then an active disease, this is now that person who is coughing, night sweats, weight loss, all of those things. This person who needs therapy. But to be infected is essentially just to be exposed. You've been exposed to that organism. Then something unique we say about TB is that TB can affect any organ. TB can affect any organ except the nails and the hair. Except the nails and the hair. Otherwise, all the other parts TB can affect. TB can affect your eyes, it can affect your brain, it can affect your kidneys, it can affect anything. Yeah, but the most common thing we see is that pulmonary tuberculosis. One person coughing, weight loss, coughing, even they may cough blood, right? Or rather, they may be having a bit of blood in their warnings. And here someone who is coughing blood in public facilities being tested for TB is free. Just tell them to go to a public facility to be tested for TB if they can't afford a private facility. Now, the pathogenesis of TB, that one is what we look at, and then we close the session. And from the pathogenesis of TB, we'll be able to understand why TB usually manifests itself when we in the immunocompromised individual. In HIV and AIDS patients, we know TB is notorious, right? And that is all based on the pathophysiology. So we'll just look at that pathophysiology, because we are not looking at TB, we're not looking at tuberculosis, the disease right now. We're just looking at tuberculosis, the organism. So once you've inhaled, right, someone has coughed, someone has TB, they've coughed it, you're in the same room, you've inhaled that TB, it gets to the lungs, and in the lungs, it will meet this stuff called the alveolar macrophages. This alveolar macrophage. It's just macrophage. We know macrophage is just macrophage. What it will seek to do, it will seek to engulf it, right? Remember phagocytosis. So once you've inhaled it, macrophage will meet this TB and engulf it, it will ingest it. However, it does not kill it. It does not kill it. So, and this is how dangerous TB is. It's inside the macrophage, but it cannot be killed. Instead, it starts multiplying. You can see it starts multiplying inside the macrophage. Then when the macrophage notices this, out a distress call and tell the other immune cells, the T lymphocytes especially, that, hey, there's something here that is attacking us. There's something here that we've been unable to contain, and we need your help. So what will happen is that the lymphocytes will come, and we know lymphocytes, T helper lymphocytes, right? The CD4, they just, they help. They are there to help the immune cells. So they will determine that this Mycobacterium tuberculosis, it's as if we can't kill it, right? I want you to notice that these lymphocytes, the one in blue, just know that those are CD4 cells. Those are the T lymphocytes. They are the CD4. And we know in HIV, CD4 goes down. So I want you to imagine this as the CD4, right? So once the immunity notices that, hey, my guy, we cannot kill this tuberculosis, what does it do? Let's contain it. Let's make sure that it cannot escape. It cannot escape. And that is when now in your lungs, that Mycobacterium tuberculosis it will be surrounded by all of these macrophages, and the T lymphocytes will be there, ensuring that these macrophages remain active. They are able to contain this thing. So just imagine a really dangerous prisoner surrounded by 50 guards. Like, we can't kill you, but we are watching you closely. That is how you, as a healthy person, you're able to contain TB, right? Your macrophages, they are not able to kill it, but they're able to contain it. It sits there in the lungs, surrounded by all of these macrophages, being held before. Now, imagine a person now has HIV. The CD4 goes down, right? The CD4 goes down. Once the CD4 goes down, and we've seen the CD4 is important in maintaining this integrity of this prison, what will happen? The integrity of the prison will be compromised, and this dangerous prisoner will be able to escape. Once it escapes and enters into the lungs or spreads wherever in the body, it will now start causing diseases to get the story. The story that TB enters, macrophage tries to kill it, it's unable to kill it, instead the TB thrives. So what does the macrophage do? It calls for help. The help comes in form of T lymphocytes. The T lymphocytes, they help the macrophage to contain the tuberculosis. So in short, for you, a healthy person, tuberculosis is just in a prison, being watched very closely. It should not get away. But once your immunity is compromised, now your prisoners, they are not as strong as they used to be. What will happen? Now TB will be able to escape your watchful eyes, and it will now be able to infect you, or rather to cause an active disease. So this just an important thing. This stuff, once TB is surrounded by all these macrophages and lymphocytes to regulate the macrophages, it's called a granuloma. So the prison is called the granuloma. This is a granuloma. And now this is what, if we're able to visualize your lungs and we see a granuloma, we can say something like Jasmila, you're infected. It's just that we're infected with TB, meaning in your body there is TB, but you do not have an active disease because the TB is well contained inside the prison. We call it granuloma. Once your immunity is compromised, that's when TB is able to escape from its prison and cause that disease, cause that pulmonary tuberculosis, spread to everywhere else in the body, and it causes all of these other types of TB, like tuberculosis, meningitis, all of these things. Yeah. In terms of treatment, again, we'll look at treatment specifically when we are doing clinical pharmacy for this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's particular. You can see TB as in high amounts. Yeah. Identification, we said acid fast staining. We all know these newer methods, the nucleic acid amplification, where we look for nucleic acid component gene expert that is able to, number one, recognize TB, and number two, it's able to also tell us if it's resistant to this fast TB. There's also multi-drug resistant TB, like any other bacteria. TB has the resistant to treatment, and once it does that, it becomes a headache treating it. So that is why this directly observed therapy is preferred for TB. If someone is diagnosed with TB, they are meant to take at home. There has to be a healthcare provider to observe that this person actually takes their meds. So you see them being told to your nearest pharmacy, just go there and you will leave your there daily. Something of the sort. Vaccine, BCG vaccine, we know BCG is for TB, right? BCG vaccine, we all that scar we all have on our arms, right? On our left arm. That's the BCG vaccine to confer immunity against TB. Yeah, and that is it for TB, unless someone has something to add. And if someone has started reading on virology, okay, they can start. Personally, I'm really tired. I can't start virology today. Questions, additions, anything, now is the time. But we are done with bacteria. But the questions asked, I can just project some of the questions asked. They're not tough questions. They usually ask, what causes this disease? What causes this disease? So that's why you're seeing we are not focusing on virulence factor, all of these. You know, we don't have VCQs. We don't have many cases to write. So at least we've been saved there. Okay, guess my nini is misbehaving. Divya, can you display the questions? I think nini. Yeah, nice.
Okay, I think the starting is just protozoa. This is, yeah, the protozoas and all. So I think the questions start from here.
Mm, mhm. So, stain used for Staph aureus, and that's the gram stain, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was just finishing up something. Yeah, that's that. And then this is virology.
I know. Mhm.
We
Yeah,
haven't done fungus yet.
that's virology.
Okay, so here, the most prevalent immunoglobulin in body secretions, I think that's in immuno.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the blood components responsible for eradicating my TB is, you guys see macrophages. And I don't know.
Ah. Activaria leukocytes, because white blood.
So leukocytes basically.
Yeah.
Okay. A person bitten by a dog preferably should receive, yeah. It's like this guy knew all his answers. And then which of the following bacteria is not found in dental plaque? Okay. To be honest, I'm not too sure about this one. Not found. Streptococcus, bacteroides.
Not found.
Yeah, not found.
In dental.
Let me see.
Yeah. Wait, is it Staphylococcus mutans? Not Staphylococcus. No, usually Streptococcus mutans, not Staph. Yeah, but also Pseudomonas is not found. This guy is okay. Me, I go with the Staph mutants because there is no such bacteria.
Okay. But wait, if there's no such bacteria, doesn't it just cancel out and, is Pseudomonas aeruginosa part of dental plaques? I don't think so.
It can be found,
Wait,
but
wait.
not commonly. Mhm.
Let's Google.
Okay.
Kuna mutant Spider-Man.
Staph mutants ama strep mutants. Najua kuna strep. Kuna staph
Oh, yeah.
mutants.
No stuff hakuna. Kwa step.
Julius, ndo na
Hapo ni yeye mabi.
tuambie wewe, si ndio? Tuambie hapa after dentist procedure unapeana amoxicillin. Yeah.
Kwa dead.
Okay, so there's Streptococcus mutans, Streptococcus sanguineus, Oralis, Gordoni, and Lactobacillus acidophilus. That's what Google is giving me. I'm not too sure, to be honest.
So it's giving you staph mutans or strep?
Strep. Strep mutans.
Also think he's a bit correct because there's nowhere where Pseudomonas is usually related with dental plaque. Anyway, circle that one. We can always revise later.
Yeah. All right. The commonest cause of UTI in young adults is
This one you said it's E. coli.
It's E.
exactly.
coli.
Okay, all the following bacteria cause pneumonia except
Clostridium tetani.
the following bacteria respond. Oops, sorry, food poisoning except
Yeah, that one.
The
That's
bacterium.
gas gangrene is caused by, I think we all know this. Breakdown of molecules to release energy. Okay. Do you guys want to go through biochem?
No.
Okay.
Good night.
Let me just look at the other. Let me try finding other questions. I think in a paper you'll only get one particular section for each topic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but that is in the physical papers. You know, in online they've jumbled up, so it will be
Yeah.
moved from one thing to the next.
Okay, do you guys want to do vaccines? No, right?
Yeah. What are vaccines? We'll do them next week.
Okay.
When
sorry?
we'll even work with the vaccine guideline of Kenya. Yeah.
Okay. Meningio
We'll work with the
pardon? Okay. Meningoencephalitis may be caused by having Am I here alone?
we saw that, yes, scalded skin syndrome.
Yeah, that's stuff.
Mm.
Oh, I thought I was all alone. Have we done this meningoencephalitis?
And that
Not
one
yet.
is under parasites. It's Naegleria, but yeah, it's under parasites.
Streptococcus pyogenes, yeah. Anaerobic spirochete, gram-negative causes necrotizing vasculitis.
Yeah, that's necrotizing because it's gram positive. It's facultative and it's not a spirochete, it's a cocci.
Which of the following does not cause food poisoning? There's Salmonella does. Bacillus cereus, you said yesterday it does. Clostridium
Yeah.
perfringens, I think it does as well, right?
Yeah,
Or-
Clostridium also, yeah.
So this is the answer. And then main cause of meningitis in HIV patients. We've not done
But
this yet.
now this is fungi,
Yeah,
cryptococcus. Yeah, we haven't done that.
okay. Let me look for more.
Yeah, so we've seen at least they like so when we're going through food poisoning, we'll make sure we've noted these things down.
Yeah. Mm. Not these cats. Okay, so this is an acid-fast stain can be used to detect which one of the following organisms. I think TB as well.
Yeah, TB.
Yeah, okay. Dash is used in the breath test for Helicobacter pylori infection.
Urase. Yeah, but I didn't know to the question.
And then which of the following genera are coliforms? Hey, Kwani, guys have gone. Okay, looks like it. Which of the following genera are coliforms? I feel like coliforms are those ones found in, I don't know, colon.
Yeah, it's what you're thinking. Yeah.
I wasn't sure, so we'd go with E. coli.
Yeah. Because the one in the GIT. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good. See you. Take us through virology tomorrow. These people, they love this herpes, hepatitis. I think tomorrow we'll just look at specific viruses because hey,
It gets tiring.
microbe is a lot, but
Do you know you've left me at Campylobacter in the discussion today? I'm so tired. Where? Anyway,
I left myself something. It's so wide, so wide.
it's okay. It's fine. Okay, so all the following diseases are transmitted by fleas. Okay, all this is later on. I think protozoa.
It's not which one is a common causative agent of boils? We say that is Staph aureus. Just below this one.
Oh, this,
below
yeah,
this
yeah.
one for rabies. Yeah.
So all the following are epidemic. Oh, pardon, what are you saying? I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. All the following epidemic prone diseases require a single confirmed case for. What is that? Action threshold. Is that action threshold?
Yeah, I think.
Except does epidemic prone diseases require single confirmed case for action threshold? Influenza.
Threshold. they just mean for, the government to do something, I
Yeah,
guess.
things that the thing that happened for COVID.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, because okay, though able without first seeing his answer, cholera definitely, right?
Yes.
Polio, I think also polio because
It does, yeah.
we are looking to eradicate polio. So in case of an epidemic, that would But now influenza, what do you think, Livia? Because when you say influenza like it sometimes it does happen. Mm.
Well, yeah, it can. I
Mhm.
think it does.
But
But let's
Chai?
ask Ida.
I don't know, me I would go with influenza. Cause nafikiria nini
But you
ningeenda na influenza. Because I feel naona meningitis times yeah transmission. Most likely if the transmission is based on close contact, you still want to treat.
Yeah, you're breaking.
I'm saying, nanisikia?
Mm.
Mhm.
In the case of meningitis, see, we treat also the close contact
Mm-hmm.
in case one walipanga the modes of transmission. So that's why it might be necessary if become an outbreak in a place kama prison somewhere kama hiyo. I don't know if alafu it also has a high rate here. Don't rub who's rubbing.
But like according to what guys had said when discussing, did you say meningococcal is most common in school-going children, institutions like those?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like yes, as well.
Even in a family setup, if for example you have it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I go meeting people. Yeah.
Like yeah, even members of your family might also want should be tested or be given better prophylaxis or better treated with rifampicin.
So what do you think about influenza?
I think because of the nini of meningitis, me I would go with meningitis, although I'm not so sure. Because of it's an emergency situation, most of the meningitis, and the mortality rate is very high as opposed to the anemia of influenza. So, I'm not sure between them.
Okay, I guess we can just like start it and then we can have a
Spider-Man
look.
unasemaje?
Nilikuwa simu hivyo. Even me nilikuwa nimeenda na meningococcal, but then when I saw influenza, I'd also go with influenza because influenza is it happened. But for meningococcal, I'd say if we are seeing increasing numbers and also because of the chronic long-term impact of meningitis is not to be ignored, in my opinion, though. But Divya has the last say. She's the one highlighting the answers. Wawero.
For me, I'd go with influenza because we know most cases of influenza are self-limiting.
At in most cases of influenza?
Self-limiting.
What limiting?
Health.
Health.
Or self-limiting. Yeah. So influenza makes more sense there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the
Yeah,
rest,
the other ones are they are
the rest
serious diseases. Those ones.
there's a
Is meningitis is it an epidemic one?
okay. According to the question, it says we're assuming all of them are epidemic prone, right? Like they can lead to, you know, and I'm not sure, but guys, maybe you can confirm this. Can meningococcus be transmitted through water, animals, soil, things?
Didn't he say they can be transmitted via droplets?
Only droplets, but not surface.
Guys, I think DC has texted something, and yeah, I think that makes influenza the answer. That hello, I think it's influenza. All the rest are grouped as notifiable infections, so that makes it influenza. Because there are diseases once you find anywhere in your practice, you should inform the government or Ministry of Health. So then if the other three they are notifiable, then it's definitely influenza.
So we move.
Then chancroid is caused by Chai, if you can answer this one. We treated you recently.
And uja treat manzi yako lipalida. Mwambie pia yeye apime.
Yeah, so yeah, Ducrea is chancroid because we are done with bacteria. Just Treponema pallidum is, as this guy has written, it's syphilis.
Nikuulize kwa fanya Nigeria walikuwa wanasema it's likely that patients suffering from gonorrhea might also have or should warrant treatment for chlamydia as well. What's the reason?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The two usually hata manzi yako alikuwa na both.
Ati reason ni gani mse? It's a joke. What's the reason, Div? I didn't get what he said.
I think his internet is bad. I couldn't hear him. I just heard one. I just heard the last part.
Unasikika ukicheka mzai na huwezi explain.
Guys, repeat yourself. Yeah, repeat yourself for Chai. Oh shit.
Well, what was Chai's question?
He was asking something about gonorrhea. Guys, my internet is bad. I can't hear.
Ulikuwa nakuuliza mbona zinafaa.
Nah, mine is the bad one. Mine is the bad one.
Why would you have to treat patients suffering from Neisseria with treat for chlamydia as well? Like why mbona kuna hiyo zinafaa pamoja? Is it cause Neisseria maybe inaweza interfere with the integrity ya hiyo line inaenda then anakuwa prone to chlamydia.
Break kiasi Chai, but okay. Nimeget swali, but umebreak. I hope pia mi si break so much. So when you're treating empirically, it's because number one, the two commonly present with the same thing, urethral discharge. And you just need to treat for gonorrhea. But since most is just empirical treatment, you give both azithro, self-injection, na doxycycline. I think manzi yako anamaliza doxycycline leo. Divya, you've revised. We are seeing the way you've highlighted. Must be nice, must be nice.
Must be nice, I know, right? I'm looking for
Yeah.
more questions. Okay, so here, all the following are none, no. The process of clonal, no. Bacterial species most commonly used in transformed root culture. We've not done this, have we?
But maybe for that, Muturi can tell us. He's the one who's done this in a transformation. She's done them in detail.
Is she here? I don't think so. Patrick, what are you saying? Mm. Okay, so this is all here. The most primary atypical pneumonia is caused by. I think these questions have been even highlighted with the esterified with the right answers. So this is Viridin streptococci. Okay, I think I'm all alone here.
Yeah, you're ready. It's very
Right. Okay, primary atypical pneumonia is caused by Mycoplasma pneumonia, I think. I think the answers have been esterified. I'm thinking this as well.
Yeah,
Coagulase. Sorry?
yeah, Divya,
Okay, and then coagulase test is used to confirm the presence of
thinking the same. We're thinking together.
I wrote it somewhere. Guys, you say catalase positive, coagulase positive. Okay. You said strep is coagulase negative. All right, guys. I think we'll just stop here. It's already 10. Guys, what do you think? Should we stop? I think the answer here is this.
Divya,
Yeah.
I think the connection is very bad.
Oh, mine. Yeah, my internet is down today.
Across the board, so I think guys are really not hearing the questions or something.
Ah, okay. I was saying we can stop. It's 10. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, me, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I was saying we can stop for now. It's already 10. I don't think people are really
Even now.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we can just stop because personally I'm really tired.
No problem.
All
Can
right
pick up.
then. Pardon?
I'm saying we can pick up tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Good night.
Okay, have yourself a good one.
You too.
Okay.